Yes.
I'm good.
Kate's good?
Yeah, okay. I would bring it up, I would like to,
Yeah.
they usually look reports, they have to open the check, and it states
You don't have to
it.
read
And I would turn
it,
it
just show it.
But you don't have a thumb drive on your computer?
No.
All right.
So I
That's another thing, somebody mentioned that to me this week too.
Don't, you're looking at it, you're stealing my thunder, wait.
No, I'm not.
I'll make a motion to seal the non-public minutes for a year.
The late.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Okay, first item on the public session tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. Don, will you lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Make a motion to accept the non-public and public minutes of December 1st, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Carol. Any discussion on the minutes? Corrections? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, that's 5-0. Consent agenda?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda for December 15th, 2022. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 12/15/22. Payroll manifest dated 12/8/22. Transfer of funds from the town's general fund to the sewer department's operating fund in the amount of $83,455.69. Transfer of funds from the sewer department operating fund to the town's general fund in the amount of $177,528.70. Transfer of funds from the water department's operating fund to the town's general fund in the amount of $146,437.68. Resignation of Travis Kelly from the Library of Trustees. Resignation of C. Favorite from the Transportation Advisory Committee, TAC. Resignation of C. Favorite from the Lakes Region Planning Commission and Executive Board. Poll license on Prospect Street, poll number BSTL-01 for Hub 66. Appointment of Chip Carlton to the Conservation Committee as an alternate.
I'll second.
Chip?
I should have said Charles.
Charles.
Catterall farm owner.
Okay, great.
We, and I didn't bring him in for an interview, he's been attending every Conservation Commission meeting, but
Great, okay,
He'll be, yeah.
good. Okay, any items on the consent agenda anybody would like to remove or talk about separately? Okay, all those in favor of consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? 5-0. All right, we don't have a written announcement for the next item, or you just asking me to?
yeah, we forgot to tell you that in non-public too. But last meeting, we talked in non-public with the
Yep.
police chief. We did say that we would do something,
Okay.
an announcement this week. We don't have a lot of information
Okay.
to
Yep.
share right now.
Yep. Yep. Okay, at this time, I would like to announce at the public meeting and to the public that Police Chief James McIntyre has regrettably handed his his resignation from the town of Bristol. He is moving on to another opportunity, and we very much wish him the best of that, and we thank him for his professionalism and the job that he did in his tenure here, and it's greatly appreciated by the board and by the citizens.
Absolutely.
Next item on the agenda is discussion regarding encumbrances.
So the encumbrances that are in your files need to be changed to this one.
Sorry, let me just back up 1 second. I just want to put it on the record that it is not effective immediately. Chief will be here. He's given his 90-day notice and will continue in that capacity, and actually has offered to help even after that in the building of the new safety building. So we thank him for that, and we thank his new employer for giving him some time to do that. Okay, sorry, please.
Actually, the one that's on your computers is correct. I just double checked it.
Okay.
So encumbrances, these are what we would like to save out of this year's budget to pay for, to finish paying for contracts that have been started or equipment that have been ordered for next year's budget. And I don't know if you have any specific questions about the ones so far proposed. I'm trying to tie the loop up on town signage. I have a quote, only received a quote from one individual right now. And then there's a couple more, and we're gonna try to finalize those before your next work session.
Okay.
But if you have anything specific questions about any of these.
We have contracts for everything that's on this list?
Yep, I've actually gone to Bob and made sure everything that we had is okay. Will this suffice? Is this okay? Will this work? And he's confirmed with all of these. The one for GMI, I will just explain to you,
Yep.
that actually is not in the budget. It was money that was given to us. Similar to ARPA, correct? It was similar to ARPA funds, but it was unanticipated funds that came to the town, and it's specific to highway projects. The only problem is, we didn't realize it was there, and it didn't get spent this year, and you have to encumber it. So there was a portion of a project not completed, because we didn't have enough money to do it. So we had the contract drawn up from GMI, that will cover this, and this will cover those funds, so we won't lose them, and we can finish the project next year.
Okay. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, those were funds that we accepted was
Yes.
unexpected.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So that changes the bottom number to 37,700, okay. I was a little bit worried seeing the 117,000 that, or we would be over budget if we did that, but I'm good now. Yeah, so we're covering about 38,000. That's,
But
Yeah.
technically, we
Yeah.
still have to encumber that 79 in your vote.
yeah, but as far as the bottom line of the budget, we won't be overspending the budget. I was concerned at 117.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that makes more
the
sense.
other ones that I'll bring to you at your next meeting, I don't believe those are gonna total more than 20,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
we should still be pretty good on our budget. Looking at the last numbers at least. So,
All right, any questions, any other questions or comments on encumbrances?
You'd have to vote on that.
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
I'll make a motion to encumber the listed items.
For a total.
Yeah, for a total of $117,211.18.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Anita. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions? That's 5-0. Thank you. Warrant article discussion. Continued discussion.
And so the one that's in your packets has been updated. I took off the things. That we talked about taking off at the last meeting. There's highlighted stuff that still needs to be confirmed, the wording of, et cetera. And then I wanted to talk to you a little bit about fireworks.
Okay.
So I reached out to 4 or 5 vendors for fireworks. A lot of them don't do barge shows. I did speak to 2 people yesterday. I don't have quotes or anything in front of me. I told them I wouldn't hold them to this number because I had to talk to the board first. But there were 2 different ones that I spoke to yesterday. The one, Atlas no longer does the shows. It's now JPI Pyrotechnics. So they would produce a show, provide a mini barge. At their barges, they do Lake Winnipesaukee, and they do them all over the state. He said that he would prefer that you do 12 to 15,000 just for fireworks though, for if you were gonna do that. The only problem with him is they can't do July 4th. He could offer you June 30th, which would be a rain date of July 7th, which is a week apart, or he could offer July 8th with a rain date of July 9th. And those are the weekend before and the weekend after, so that's that. And then the reason I'm mentioning this is because to decide if you still want to keep this in the warrant articles and how much money you would like to put. The second person that I talked to, actually, they do not, he doesn't do it on the barge, but he would do it through Maine Pyrotechnical. And he said that he thinks that $15,000 would be a better number. And he could do, Central Maine Pyro, yep, that's what it was called. And he could do, Class C. And I said, we don't want Class C.
We don't?
Class
Class
C
C,
is too small. We
Yeah.
did that one year and you can't see it very far. And then Class B is very professional. So, and he said, and he could do those.
Still
But
15.
he said the same thing, the 12 to 15,000. And that, we only spent 10 technically on fireworks and the extra money went towards music and other things if we were gonna do that. So it would be up to the board if you want to continue to put the fireworks in there, warrant article in there, and how much you would recommend.
I think we put it on the warrant, we let the people decide if they want to spend money on that. And I would say you probably have to bump it to 20, right? If you're gonna,
Yeah, because if you're paying 15 for
15 for
just
the
the show,
fireworks.
you're even 18 might be enough to do events. I don't, what do you do?
I think
What's that?
18 would be
Music?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a really good deal on our music usually.
Oh.
If he's available, right?
A few cocktails and a place to sit.
So,
Well, yeah.
so I'm sorry, where did we end up with a number for?
You think, what? I mean, it's $2,000, but
Yeah.
is 18 more palatable or?
I think jumping from 12 to 20 might be,
Yeah,
All right,
I think,
let's go 18
I
then,
think people will expect.
unless anybody has a problem with that.
Is there, would it make sense to change the wording in that warrant article to say fireworks? So that people really understand that's what it's for, because it's patriotic recreation and special events expendable trust fund.
so it goes
Do we
into,
somehow put that in there, it includes 15,000 fireworks, so
When we
that,
explain the article,
that's what we tell them.
that's what
Okay.
we tell them it's specifically for.
Because we have to put the money
Yeah.
into this trust fund.
okay.
And again, this is just your continued discussion, the article under the fireworks. I talked to the department heads this week, no one had any new, currently, no one had any new warrant articles to add. And no one recommended any changes to any of the warrant articles here. But the next article down with the capital reserve funds, I know there's been some strong feeling at the budget committee level, but I don't know if this board is ready to change any of those at this point.
Just a question why we usually do the police capital reserve separate.
The approved, the police
The
capital reserve, well, so this was prepared previously, so by the former town administrator, so I just
Yeah.
took this document, so we can do that separate.
Well, the reason we did it separate is that if there's any money that we could take out of the police detail revolving fund, that requires it to be a separate fund, but I'm not sure if we have, how much we have.
Well,
There
that's-
wasn't any.
Because I know that's why the next
one
article down.
Right.
Changes
But-
it.
Yeah, leave it like it is now, but if
Okay.
there's money there that we can take out, we might need to pull that out as a separate so that we could, that way you can specify to bring the funds out of the capital reserve fund. Or the detail fund, sorry.
Okay,
So just keep a note of that.
My feeling on the capital reserve funds overall is that we've already made adjustments to them. And it isn't necessarily our job to conform our budget to what the budget committee thinks it should be. It's our job to recommend to the budget committee what we think it should be, and then they can go from
They
there.
vote on it, right?
So we've put a lot of thought in this. I don't want to spend any more money or raise any more taxes than we have to. But I think that the work has been done on this, and if we're going to follow our capital improvement plan, this needs to be
Right.
done to an appropriate level.
I
And the
think
only,
that,
sorry,
if I may,
I was gonna say the only two that increased and then, are increased on this, actually, 3 increased on this, was the assessment because that fund is
Yep.
depleted.
Right.
And then the police only went up 2,000 and then the highway went up 10,000, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 10,000. So those are the only changes, and I'm sorry, Carol, go ahead.
I think that there was one member of the budget committee that, when you kind of look at the whole plan, it looks a little frightening.
Yeah.
Up front.
Yeah.
With the explanation. I don't think that the budget committee as a whole was worried about it, and they said it's just I think they were agreeing it was just a plan. But there was that, I told you about this last time,
So-
without flogging it. Well, you weren't here.
No.
He's gonna
Particularly,
present them.
one member of the budget committee thought that this, because this looks so large, and specifically said that I voted for most of the select board out of the conviction that they would do the right thing. And the select board should be trying to cut some of this money. Am I about right in
Right.
translating that? So,
All we're really doing though is kicking it down the road if we cut it.
yeah, and I think there was maybe a misunderstanding of what he was looking at.
Yeah.
It makes
And
sense.
the
It's confusing looking at that.
The CIP plan is overwhelming if you look
Yeah.
at it. And we do tell,
Unless you're an engineer.
so I have actually begged Don, he's voiced the budget committee to approve. He's gonna go to the budget committee to approve the CIP at the next meeting,
Yeah.
next week unfortunately, but
To explain and answer questions. But I agree with Sean, I mean, this is what we're suggesting. We vote on it and the budget committee votes on it as far as recommendation. And ultimately the town can change it or vote on it.
Yeah, I don't think that they were, it didn't sound like overall that there was gonna be a problem. It was a discussion.
I just think they think that some of the numbers should be lower, but in general consensus, but.
That's what town meeting's for, they can make the point there.
Right.
Were there any, one of the things was, were there any other items that you needed me to look into at this point for this, or we're pretty much here and at this point?
I think we're pretty much here at this point. Yeah. I had a strong, as I mentioned
Yeah.
a few times, had a strong desire to keep this
Keep
as
it simple.
basic as possible.
So I'll finalize no, there is one more question. I'll finalize all the wording, but the question would be on the highway capital reserve fund. I need to finalize the exact wording, for the creation, but how much money would the board like to establish this with? And is there a consensus, should it be coming from taxation or from the general fund to establish it?
Is that what?
That's,
You mean
they're not
reserve.
numbered because I have to throw the planning board stuff in.
Do we know?
It's
what are your thoughts
underneath.
on that?
The police revolving fund.
This probably sounds like a really stupid question as a two-term select person and chair, but if you raise money through taxation, that comes through the general fund.
But it affects your tax rate next year. If you take it from the general fund,
General fund?
if you raise it through yes, the way it's worded is awkward, yes. Are you just, if you are just going to raise and appropriate the money, then it affects your tax rate next year. If you take it from the general fund, it's money that's already been
From the reserve.
You mean
Through
a
reserves.
reserve balance?
Unreserved fund balance,
Yeah,
yeah.
not general fund,
That's
you mean
the
not
better
reserve
wording.
balance.
Fund balance.
That's.
That makes more sense.
Give,
Yeah.
give me time to get my wording right.
Yes, you can do that,
I thought that's what you meant, I just wanted to make
you
sure.
can do that with a warrant article.
You can.
Yeah, you can
Right.
pull that anytime.
Yep.
I like the unreserved fund balance, it doesn't have to be a lot.
50,000. Not
Because,
$50.
well, okay, but I will throw this out there because you know it's gonna be to do one repair, although what we're kind of thinking about is $500,000. And if it does get funded by the DOT program, we have to come up with 20%. So 20% roughly 100,000, so.
Yeah, start with 50.
Yeah.
Unreserved fund balance and 50.
And if I can just chime in, Mark's feeling that we're not high on the list.
Yeah.
On the red, that's.
So we have a couple
it's
years
culvert,
there,
so
say.
it sounds like you're gonna have some time, so that's a good start, at least you'll have your 100 grand ready or more when it
Yep.
does happen. Yeah.
And I did explain to you that they've changed their process. We can't just put our name in anymore. They review the list.
I can build a bridge over that for about 10 grand.
Yeah.
Put a log truck over
There
it.
you go.
Yeah, there you go. And I probably don't need to remind you, but in that article to make select board agents to expend.
Oh, yeah, thank you. No, I did ask, is there something else I missed? So,
Okay. Just so that you make sure you do that.
Okay,
perfect.
great.
All right. What's next?
Job descriptions.
So those are all in your folder. They've all, under number 6. They've all been updated, corrected the typos that have been given to me. Signature lines have been added to them, and those are here. And once you approve this batch, then we'll go back, we are going to change the budget lines to match the job description, and then change the wage scale, and make sure the wage scale matches the job description as well. So I can give you those and let you, if you have any specific questions about them. We picked this one because we thought it was gonna be easy and then I had to fix things.
There weren't a lot of changes on those, but there were some, but
When I was reading through these this afternoon, it wasn't clear on what was the new position.
Then,
They're not new
They're
positions,
not
they're
new.
job descriptions.
Yeah, but the job description for the,
the transfer station lead attendant,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's didn't have any changes, it just was formatted because you'd already approved that one, but we're signing it. That's the new
Got it.
position, which is the part-time position to be sort of the super or second in command.
that's this 4324.
Yes,
No, yes.
that's solid waste, yep.
Right.
So those numbers too, by the way, we're gonna start labeling them that way so we can match them back to the
Yeah.
budget.
Okay, perfect.
So HD is highway, solid waste is SW, TC is town clerk, tax collector, and again, we recommended to go back from human services director to welfare, because that, even though it's got that bad connotation, it's a recognizable title. So,
Mhm. Okay. All ready for me to start these around?
well, and do you have the motion to approve them?
Can we do it as a batch?
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding any of the descriptions? Okay, is there a motion?
Do we need to specify all of them in the motion in one batch? Probably.
I don't think so, but if you wanted to.
It's on the agenda.
It's on
so
the
you can
agenda,
just
so,
reference
yeah.
those on the agenda.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I call them first round job descriptions, but
But they're all there for someone to read if somebody wants to do the research.
you lost what?
I lost my agenda.
It is number
6.
1, your agenda.
Yeah.
The actual, yeah, the list of,
The list of them isn't on the agenda, it just said
No.
first round job descriptions.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry
it's in
about
there.
that.
Yeah.
Could be,
6
fourth.
Those titles are correct that are on there, you just have to widen your column a little if you want to see the titles fully.
oh yeah, I see all that.
Yeah.
Those I see. I was just trying to decide whether to do all of them on a, how to do a motion on it, that's all. I probably should list them all out. So, all right, I'll start reading. I'll make a motion to accept the following job descriptions. Ground maintenance operator, highway equipment operator part-time, highway equipment operator, highway foreman, highway superintendent, transfer station attendant, transfer station lead attendant, deputy town clerk tax collector, town clerk tax collector, and welfare director.
Second.
Motion by Don, second by Les. Any questions or comments on these? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. Thank you.
So I'll have another batch for you
Yep.
at your January meeting.
Yeah, that's the first thing you get.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the DOT 10-year plan.
And I didn't ask Bill for his priorities and I forgot, so I apologize, Bill. But the New Hampshire DOT has reached out, met with Butch, myself, Mark and Jeff. A group of them came in and it was a good conversation. They have they have the 2 projects on the 10-year plan.
When was this?
Which one?
When we met with the DOT, do you
Oh.
remember when?
It was a few months back,
It
right?
was,
No, it's
we met
probably
Oh, okay, because
3
I
or 4
remember,
weeks, 3 or 4 weeks.
maybe a little
Their
longer.
emails, November
because there was
21st.
another meeting.
It was in November.
Yeah, you had one months ago.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is most recent.
Okay.
I think it was in November. So they responded to us and I'm not got the right email in front of me. They responded to us and then now they're saying, we don't have enough money to do all of this, obviously. And they did quote us with a cost, it was pretty big cost compared to the amount of money that they have. So what they're asking the board, from us at this point is what our priorities will be. If we, out of this list, and they gave us a list of what came out of that conversation, which is that those bullets, the 104 shoulder widening, the 104 to address crashes, the sidewalk, the path to Ayers Island, 3A shoulder widening, sidewalk reconstruction, address sunken drainage grates, sidewalk extension to parking area. So that came out of that meeting, and now they're coming back to us and saying, they say he believes these are the individual goals of the projects, and what he's interested in is this town to settle on some priorities that they can work with the town and LRPC to evaluate the impact of the 10-year plan. So I did talk to Jeff and Mark about what their recommendation would be to the board, and Mark's recommendation is if anything got done, he'd like to see the 104 project get done. Jeff,
Which is the top 4 bullets
the
on
top
this?
4
Yeah.
bullets, yep. And Jeff's response was, the main item they have is a force main replacement from Merrimack to Baker Streets on Route 104 and Summer Street, taking place early next year. He's saying we may have 3A Lake Street EDA project moving forward that would be in the shoulder of the road for the most part from Millstream to Riverdale. He just pretty much said what their projects were. He didn't pick, but he
Yeah.
wanted you to be aware of what the projects were. So that's why I'm bringing it to you, to see if you have a preference or a priority that you'd like to see.
And my guess, from my experience with DOT and reading between the lines, is even when we prioritize they're probably 2 to 5 years out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, at
Okay.
least, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but priority wise, they have to commit the money now, so it isn't gonna be like that, Jesse. So Jeff's force main is probably gonna take place and be done long before,
Yeah.
this is done, but anyway.
Which is what you want.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say in this email, we would like the town to prioritize not necessarily the projects, but the goal of the projects. And it seems like the goal of some of these is safety of people in town.
Yeah.
Which seems to me to be a priority.
I would think so, yeah. We've been begging for years for them to do something about the sidewalks on 104.
Right.
And it seems
Well,
like,
and the corner too, they mentioned that the corner, that would be that really sharp corner
Yeah.
would be, they would try to straighten that a little, so.
And they did say that, that obviously their goal is to straighten that road out, but it is gonna require the purchase of property.
I was gonna say, it's
Yeah.
also the most expensive, one of the most
Yes.
expensive
Yes.
portions of the project.
So that in itself will take time, just to become ownership of the property. And
So is
they're
that,
talking about,
is that a priority? Well, it is if we're gonna get a sidewalk, right?
Yeah,
so they're saying they can't put a sidewalk around that corner unless they buy
they pretty
property.
much said
They
they
have to
won't,
buy.
they won't put a.
Oh, they're gonna get rid of the corner and add a sidewalk into a straighter road.
Yeah,
If the,
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I
ugly.
don't like my cars, I don't like that, yeah.
But it's something that's needed. It's just.
I know, but I just don't like that idea of taking people's homes, buying them.
Well, it's, they'll be paying market price, whatever that.
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's not really taking up homes as much as just
No, I
part of
don't
the
think.
property there.
Like,
Oh, no, there's a.
No,
house-
it is.
There's a house, that will have-
one of the
there's
houses
two
will have to be
houses
taken.
potentially that,
They'll
like,
actually
they
take
said
out.
something about the White House and then the nice.
They said they've identified 2 homes, 2
reddish colored
structures.
houses.
Yeah, okay.
two on either side of the corner, right, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, in my eyes, interested in the sidewalks along 104.
Yeah.
So that means the existing ones, right?
Yep.
There are no sidewalks along 104.
Oh, sorry.
Well, they are, they go to
I mean, it's all,
just
right,
past
at what point?
HDH,
Right.
the old town hall, not that
Right.
far past.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Extending them further,
And fixing the ones over
fixing
there.
them too, yeah.
Yeah, I would be.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it too, it did say, let's see,
Bring those to grade,
bring those to grade, yeah.
yeah, which is gonna require some retaining wall.
And they
or-
did say that even.
Well, they also, that was the other thing, they also asked if there was a preference to the side of the road, which side of the road, and I think Mark said, you remember which side?
The
I think
drugstore side of the,
he said the drugstore side of the road, but I was concerned that there wouldn't be a walk to the old town hall anymore.
Yeah,
Or you'd have to cross to get to the old town hall, so that was the only thing I will mention, they talked about eliminating one of the sidewalks.
that they,
One of the existing.
that they would pay, that would be part of the project, so you can have anything you want, you're willing to,
right.
yeah, so.
Is an option for us to maintain that sidewalk ourselves without having to go to
Sure.
Their concern,
taking.
their
without
concern
having-
was the width though, too, trying
They're gonna keep
to.
the road.
They haven't been concerned with it until now.
Yeah,
Well, they're-
right.
Yeah.
well, no, they're
Yeah, now that
concerned,
they're gonna change things, they're concerned
They're
about
concerned
the.
about the width.
well, because
Yeah.
they're talking also about, suitable for bicycles, so to do all of that, you would have to change.
Yeah.
Well, if we're just going to keep the sidewalk from School Street up past the town hall, it doesn't need to be suitable for bicycles. If you have a suitable for bicycle sidewalk on the other side.
No,
so-
they would be putting in a lane,
It wouldn't be.
bicycle lane, it wouldn't be
Oh, they
sidewalk.
did say they were gonna have, it would be raised, because they would have a curve, they would not have a at-grade sidewalk. It would be curved
Curved.
all the way,
On the other side.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. Just for the.
And then they'd have a bike lane on the uphill side?
It says 104 shoulder widening suitable for bicycles, connect completed downtown project to completed widening project, so.
So people could walk up along the bike lane.
So how do we get to the town office?
Walk up the bike lane.
and cross the
What's on the other
street.
Across the
side?
street.
We'd have to, I told them, and I did say that in the meeting,
Well,
you have to install a
there'll be
crosswalk.
public hearings up to the zoo on this. It's more or less conceptually.
So they just need to know from us what our
What your
priorities
priorities are, so I can
Yeah.
get back to them, so.
A new road and some safe sidewalks, those
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the priorities.
Priorities, I think that's safe.
Yeah,
That's what
Are
I
they just asking the 104 versus the 3A project, or?
no, not according to what.
That's not, well, you can do that if that's what you prefer, if you would like to do, but that's not what, you can do, you can tell them whatever your priorities are. They can either be just a safe road and sidewalks, or you could pick one project over another.
Isn't the sidewalk already connected to the parking area at the trail? Oh, which trail? No, we're talking, whichever trail are we talking, 3A? Extend the last
It ends
bullet.
just before the sidewalk technically flattens out, doesn't it, and.
Right
the
about where
trail.
the farmer's market is, where the sidewalk ends.
It ends just before
Yeah.
the mill stream,
So-
or
Yeah,
right
Doesn't seem
out
like
there,
it
right?
already.
But the shoulder's wide enough there, and
Yeah.
I
Right,
don't see that as a high.
and we did add the path through mill stream so that they could go straight into without having to ride into the traffic, but.
Right.
Why wouldn't they
Mr.
just take
Chairman.
care of the sunken?
Yes, sir.
drainage
Permission to
streets?
speak?
Yes,
Isn't that a
please.
maintenance issue?
You would think.
So I'm disappointed that I haven't seen this email.
Yeah.
Because I've been going to the LRP, the Lakes Regional Planning Commission on the transport for the last 7 years, 5 years, anyway. And I've not seen this, so
Well,
I
this-
think that having attended probably 90% of those meetings, that I should be able to have some say in this.
But this is from the New Hampshire DOT.
I understand.
And what he was going to do is from their decision, go back to LRPC and talk to TAC and LRPC. So I did apologize at the beginning that I
You
didn't
did.
send you that, but that was their next step, is to come back and talk to you and the LRPC.
Because I'm real concerned that if we prioritize these, we have been after this for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get both these projects. If we prioritize them and we lose one, we will never get it back for 20 years. Either one of these projects.
However,
But they're not
They're
gonna
not
give us a
gonna
vote.
do both, though.
They're
That's
not.
pretty much the conversation we've got. They're not doing both. They can't do both.
Well, I think that we should take some action to get our local representatives pushing hard to get some of this infrastructure money allocated to these projects. We've been pushing for these projects, as I said, for 5 years. Steve's been pushing and I've been pushing. And for them to back away from this and say we can't get both, when we've been working our heinies off to get these projects, I don't think that's acceptable. We have to use our local representatives to get on top of the DOT to fund these projects.
I would,
Well, and they don't say they're eliminating these projects. They're just saying they can't do both now.
But I would like to know what order and what time, and do we get pushed back? Because I just voted on the last set of project meetings just a month ago, where we ranked Laconia, Laconia was number one, the other one was Moultonborough, and then Plymouth, number 3. So, I'm voting on these at these meetings, and I know how long it takes to get these projects
Yeah.
through.
Yep.
And those 3 projects were just 3 of 8 projects. And so those other 5, who knows when they'll come through again.
I would,
Okay, Bill,
in
thank you.
defense of what Bill's saying, Steve Favorite has said the same thing to me.
Yes, he
That
did.
when I brought that package last time, he said, we've been working on this for years, and then we found out that Nick was having an entirely separate conversation with DOT about the 10-year plan that didn't even go back to LRPC, or so that's
Well,
what
it
Steve
did.
felt.
So Nick and Bill were working together though on it, and unfortunately, I think Steve didn't know that was happening. So,
But it sounds like a disjointed process,
yes.
as you're saying. if you already have a process where you're making recommendations.
Yeah,
to-
I mean, the Lakes Regional Planning Commission, and that is the official process to get anything done.
Right.
And none of the 27 communities in the Lakes Regional Planning Commission, we all have to go through this process. And we've been battling this for years. For them to suddenly come back like this, I mean, I feel like I've been kicked in the butt.
My sense, and I'm not, but my sense is that the DOT are doing that, they just want to prioritize so that they're in sync with you guys on what to take to them.
Yeah, and that's,
I
That's what
think,
they
so
said,
I think
yeah.
that's gonna happen,
Yeah.
but they're not gonna take that whole list. That's pretty clear. I mean, so,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna flow that way, I
our
think.
priority.
Their first sentence, as discussed, there aren't enough construction funds in the state's 10-year plan to complete both projects. And they just said, you can still prioritize both projects, but maybe there's a subcategory that you say, we still want these to stay on the 10-year plan. However, we really want to push this one to the front.
What's the,
I don't know if that's what you can do, but, so you don't lose one off of the plan.
what are the 10 years? When does this 10 years start and end?
It's rolling.
It's a
Well, I
rolling
mean,
10 years, right,
it's
Bill?
It's kind of like the National Forest writing their 10-year plan, it takes 5 years. to do
Right,
it.
so if they're saying
Right.
they can't do both of these in a 10-year plan that starts today, it means that we'll get one.
I
We
mean,
won't get the
this,
other one for at least
this
10 years.
first one was submitted in 2015, and it has Steve and Mike on it. Michael Capone.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out
Sorry.
there. That's all.
And the second one is Nick, but I think that was with Bill.
It was.
Yep, and that was submitted, it doesn't have a date on it, but,
I don't think it's wise for us as a town to say we support one project over another.
right.
I personally, this means, I'm not talking to the board, but I would think that we would want to say, our goal as a town is to get as much done as possible with an eye towards pedestrian and vehicular safety.
And Les made a good point on the side here about the drains. Why is that a 10-year project? Isn't that a safety issue they should be taking?
Especially if it's a maintenance issue.
Maintenance,
Yes,
right.
right.
Yep.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I think they're tying it in because of the widening, shoulder widening, they're suitable for bicycles.
Yeah, and then it frees up,
Something
it frees up funds for them to pay for other drainage
Right.
projects.
Right,
And only do a certain amount, one minute, yeah.
And that's a safety issue for them, so they shouldn't.
We also feel that, the drainage work should be done under their drainage project, under their drainage budget.
I can add that.
And address it quickly.
It seems also that some of
I
some
would
of
like to,
some of this is a lot more than what we really need. I mean, do we really need 104 path down to Arizona Road?
That's
There's a
part of
huge-
what was applied for, so.
Yeah, but
the
that's, I
question.
mean, the shoulder is so wide there from Rite Aid down, that's meaningless. It's,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
That was a
I
one
think if we
item,
could-
you're right.
yeah, we could probably cut back on the scope of some of the stuff like that and get the stuff that we
And I'm
really need.
sure we will,
Yeah.
when the time comes.
Yeah, we get the stuff we really need and want
Yeah.
versus trying to get all of this, you know?
Bill, one last thing.
yeah, I do have a preference, and that is to complete the Lake Street project first, so that we get the bike path from the lake to the town completed. But I also would like for children to be able to ride their bikes from the baseball field to the town, to the lake. So that's what I think we should be able to do.
I think
And that's what we've been basically pushing for.
two good goals.
I mean, it would make the community much more bicycle friendly than it is right now.
Well, with that, the choking point is 104.
Yeah.
That really,
And
if we're gonna choose a
you know,
priority,
know
that
that
would
the
be
acquisition of those houses is
Yeah.
gonna take years. So I would push for the other one so that we get the bike path as soon as possible from the town to the lake.
Well, but
Go ahead.
safety is paramount over that, and there's a lot of people walking for, why more people that are mobile at the little assisted living
Yep.
place there? There's a number of people walking that corner with bags back and forth from Miami.
Yeah.
And it's gonna get worse with the snow. Not like you said, but you can't fix that in 5 years probably. I'm sure at least one of those houses is gonna be unwilling to move in a hurry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you think you can put something together?
Yep.
Can you run it by me before you send it out?
Yep.
Yep.
You can translate that whole conversation.
Well, I wrote that.
Thank you, Buck.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I know, so.
Committee discussion and review of Pennypath Subcommittee Charter. Bill?
No, that's Christine's.
Okay, all right.
That's Christine.
So, we actually did talk a little bit about it with the Pennypath, or I did, I said.
Well, we
We discussed.
In the royal sense.
So we, the Pennypath Subcommittee, had a meeting last week, our first meeting.
Right.
We went through the charter, we had some suggested changes. I went upstairs, got Christine, and she came back and joined the meeting. And actually, all those minutes have been sent to you. I don't know whether, I've sent it.
Not distributed yet, but they will be, I'm a little behind the eight ball.
So we are writing the minutes down, they're available to be read. We got with Christina and she said, I'd really like to add a few more things.
Okay.
And I
So
sent-
she's added a few more things.
I did send the first round draft, but Carol Brown had made some suggestions,
Just
so
send it to
they
me.
may not have seen, you sent it to
I
me
just
now.
wanted to, just as.
Well, I made some from the first suggestions. Jeez. So instead of a charter, we talked about, I couldn't think of a word, and we would use charter, we were thinking just guidelines
Yeah.
is a better word.
Charter is,
We would just add that.
More formal.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's,
Yeah.
it's guidelines.
But the thought, so taking the Penny Path out of the talk for just a minute, the thought is, and I talked about this with the Penny Path as well with Bill, is to start inviting some of our committees in.
Absolutely.
And setting this up for each of them. Especially because we've talked about the EDC for a while now, their direction, they feel they're not getting a direction and we haven't been able to help them through getting direction. So we thought about doing that, inviting people, my recommendation is to do that. And I decided to do that with this committee first.
Great.
Based on what Bill sent for the original charter guidelines. And I turned it into purpose, established, membership, directives, and then you would sign it as adopted. And it would become official record.
Yep.
And not that we would have the problem, but if there was a problem with a particular committee, we'd have something to fall back on.
Yep.
That you have been, that this has been discussed and you really shouldn't be doing this, those kinds of things.
If I could say, what really kicked this off is your latest committee appointment was the technology.
Technology committee,
And,
yeah.
and I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
John Miller.
John come in, and his first question was, what do you want us to do?
Right.
And
We met with
so
him.
it just made sense that the board would say, this is what we envision as your mission.
Yep.
It could be open-ended, or it could be, we need this in 3 months, and at the end of 3 months, thank you for your service, whatever you decide. And this, so I think this is a start. And then it can be much more complicated committees that go on longer, but they've got rules. What does nobody expect?
That's not the one,
No,
no,
we changed it.
like this.
Yeah, but that's the one you sent me, but we changed it up again. Sorry.
Okay.
You wanna read this?
No,
Back.
no, that's the one you have in the packet, right?
Did I? I don't think so. Look, sorry to go off subject for you all.
You could just send it out again if we make more changes, unless you wanna sign it tonight, everybody.
Nope, this is the one I have in the packet. So if you look at number 8, it's different than what you just sent me. I took, after meeting with so we came up with a list.
Yeah.
Carol, and I had actually sent it to Sean, but he wasn't able to look at it, I don't think. So I sent it to Carol. Carol got back to me. Carol provided some feedback, but then I met with the committee and they also provided some feedback and I made some changes from there. And then another issue had come up, and so we added a couple of things in here. I don't know if there's anything specific you have a question on, anything you don't like in this. I did mention that I was gonna change the wording in the PEMI Path Committee about the advertising. Any kind of advertising that they do for a project must be supported by the select board.
Yeah, okay, I was just gonna.
That's number 4,
Okay.
and I'm not sure if you like that wording or not.
Well, that's where I had all my changes.
Yeah, but your number, that's wrong, the wrong one.
This
Yep,
this
here.
is,
I'll show you where it is. You changed this from.
well, that was
That's-
mine, that was mine.
Yeah, so I added your wording here, shall not in any way indicate their association with the committee or the town of Bristol. Do you wanna read number 4 again and see if you're okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine, except I was trying to say it wasn't only advertising, it's a letter to the editor or et cetera, et cetera. But
Okay.
if you think that last sentence covers
Okay.
that.
So
Or just
information.
What I had said was information,
communication?
I put information provided to the public such as advertising, letters to the
Yeah.
editor, articles, or live presentations, newspaper, local media, social media, or meetings produced by the committee or members on behalf of the town must be approved by the town administrator select board. But if you think that last sentence, as Christina wrote, it covers that, that's okay. It's choices.
I do like the beginning of his, where it
Okay.
says information provided to the public such as advertising, and letters to the editor, articles, or live presentations.
And I think the thing that I stressed to Christina, that she stressed to you guys, is that, that what's, I think is important with so many committees, that the committee members understand that singly, they have citizen rights. They don't get to represent the town of Bristol as a whole unless it's a vote of the committee, not the chair or the newest member. And that's the difference. I think that's, other than that, they have every right to, as a citizen, but so just, and I think most recently we had an article or something got printed and,
Yeah.
and I'm not so sure that was my vote of anybody. But anyway, that's the point of this, almost the same language would go to any appointed committee you have. It could be very easily morphed and it just stresses that. That's what I think.
I'm okay either way, Christina, whatever you all think.
I do like the beginning of your, where if we add at least information provided to the public,
Pass that over to Sean.
such as advertising, letters to the editor, articles, or live presentations. I do think that's a good addition to it,
Okay,
to spell that out at the beginning of that paragraph.
okay. And then
And if you're okay with the rest of the wording.
we can approve it, we can sign it next time.
And then, so wait, let me look, we can sign it next Thursday.
Add that to the list, yeah.
We had the town administrator charged with the liaison, to be to the select board, because, when we talked to the PEMI Path Committee, they were concerned about that, but that was what I got the gist, was that that's what you wanted.
Yes.
Okay. And then a member of the Economic Development Committee would be charged as a liaison to the Economic Development Committee. And number 5, were there any concerns if they would have the ability along with the town administrator to negotiate? But we did put all negotiations must be approved by the town administrator or select board. That's
Yes.
again, okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know. All right, so that's fine.
And then, Here's the other spot. Oh, number 3, we added that in. I did talk to the committee. There will be no proposed budget for work completed by the subcommittee, and all costs associated with the work of the subcommittee shall be borne by the Economic Development Committee's budget. So, and then Carol did change number 11, and I did do that. We broke out a couple into 2 different bullets, but they're the same ones that were there before. But number 11, it was once the path is established, the PP, originally it said will be dissolved and replaced by the select board directed group committed to ongoing 4-season trail maintenance. And Carol's recommendation was to say, once the path is complete and any necessary agreements in place, such as ongoing maintenance, etc., the committee will be dissolved. And just end it there.
Yeah.
Because you are going to have to establish agreements with
Right.
whoever's going to do that work.
Right,
So,
and we can do that as select board. Yeah. Okay.
do you have any comments about those changes, Bill?
Not at this point.
Okay.
But
He'll fight the battle. He'll fight that battle later.
I,
You'll fight that battle later.
yeah. No, we did discuss the fact that there needs to be, the committee needs to develop a preliminary maintenance plan. And then we hand it off back to you, and then we leave. I mean, it's up to you then to figure out how you're going with regular maintenance.
Right, perfect, yeah.
And that is in number 11. It just says, it does say, and any necessary agreements in place, such as
Right.
ongoing maintenance.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, good.
So I'll fix this, the
Yep.
wording on it, I'll prepare it, and I'll change it to guidelines. I'll send you a copy, Bill.
Please.
And then I'll have that for you just to sign at the next meeting.
Good,
So-
good work, again.
And then the next committee I'll bring in would be Energy Committee in January.
Yeah, energy committee.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Christina, did you get a date from Tia as to when we're gonna meet?
No, I will reach out to her again tomorrow, but I
Please do.
did not get one. I was trying to get her into your January meeting though.
Yes, please, absolutely. Yeah, January 12th,
Yeah,
on or before January 12th.
yeah, because you're going, yeah,
We're not meeting in December, right?
no,
No meeting in December.
so the Heavy Path Committee is meeting the 3rd,
No, the second.
second Thursday, correct?
Correct.
Second Thursday of each month going forward, so. Okay,
Has anyone been down there last week or two?
You were?
Has anyone been down there the last week or two along the path?
go ahead.
Let's walk down.
Yeah.
Kate's raising his.
Beyond where we,
No,
A little bit.
I've only just gone as far as,
I'm just
I
curious.
took-
if there
I
were
took
any-
some other friends down there again. I'm keep promoting though.
That's good.
We did send the police department out,
Okay.
and that wasn't there when
Okay.
they went out, so.
Yeah, I keep meaning to
You're
get
looking
out.
for time.
If we
There wasn't
walk it
anything
enough times, we'll just wear
Right.
They won't have a choice.
Well, that's why we want this meeting with Tia, because we just want to know, what are they prepared to do in what timeline?
Yeah,
And how can we jointly work this?
yeah.
I can tell you, and I told Bill, so 11/21, Tia routed the MOU request to the district operations. And I put in that email, I have no idea where I got Plymouth from. It wasn't in that email. So, they are working on the new draft and earn agreement on initializing the MOU. 12/8, I got a call from Tia, and she wanted to know who to put the agreement on, and whether it was myself or Butch, and I had her put me, but, because I really didn't believe that I would get it in the time frame she said, and I did not. So we're still waiting on it. So, I haven't reached back out yet, but I reached out to see if she could meet, but I haven't heard, so I will reach out again and
Okay.
try and clarify.
The understanding that we seemed to come to was that they would try and close it out before the end of the year, just the calendar year, just to clear stuff off their desk. It's just dealing with government agencies.
Yeah.
Slow.
Okay, very good. Wage scale policy?
Sorry, I'm falling behind.
No, you're good.
I did meet with the department heads, but Butch and I did on Tuesday. This is the policy that was originally prepared.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Merry
Have a
Christmas.
good
Merry
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Been good working with you. Have a good holiday. But
So this was the policy that was created to, there were two policies that were created that unfortunately, I think it was discussed with the board, but it was never officially adopted. So what's before you was the draft version. I cleaned it up.
This is the evaluation?
Yeah, why don't we start with the evaluation policy?
Yep.
I did clean it up, I will, and changed a couple things on the document. Most of it was just, formatting, capital letters, and the seal, I changed it to the new seal. And then, prepared a document for you to sign, but I didn't do anything else to that one. Are there any questions about that one?
Yeah, that you're talking about, don't show here.
No, because I did them last night's planning board.
All right.
Shh, don't tell Dawn.
Not a worry.
Okay, so you're looking for us to adopt this?
So the edits I did, again, are just capital, on that one,
Yeah.
here, this is the document you're welcome to look, or just
Yeah.
formatting capitals and adding signature page lines on that one. That's what I did, so you can take a look.
so basically, there's no substantive changes to that.
From what I put in here.
Capitals
Yep.
and, yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
The next one we have to talk about a little bit.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the procedure for employee evaluations? Policy.
So moved.
So moved by Dawn, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Les. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0.
Guess we're not signing today.
All right, so,
No.
No.
oh yeah, you are signing.
The signing that one? The-
Yeah, that one that has the signature.
Oh, yes,
signed
yep,
by
that one is
back.
the clean copy,
That was
sorry.
the clean
Oh,
copy.
that is-
And that-
That is,
the back
yeah.
is what-
I'll pass it back.
So the second part of it is the procedure for awarding annual pay increases and maintenance of salary scale.
I thought you said avoiding.
Avoiding, yes.
Procedure for avoiding. What?
No.
I think they'd hang me if I did that. I did make some changes on this. Mainly, where are we? At the beginning, our capitalizations, I cleaned those up. When you get down to part, maintenance of the salary scale under part 1, I have a concern or question about that one. It says that we would use the CPI, which I put the what CPI stood for in there, that wasn't in there, but it says we would use the CPIW for the Boston area, and I am not sure if that was ever discussed by this board and whether that should be what we use or not.
If that's where that came from, you should be using the New England,
That's what I
because
Yeah.
Boston is such a specific part of the
Right.
area. That's just a suggestion, but for the most part, small
I think
town
it's
New Hampshire's use the New England.
northeast, is it northeast region?
It's northeast region, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
New England or northeast region.
So I can fix that, but I highlighted that when I read it, and wanted to bring that to your attention. And then the only other changes I made were capitals, select board. And I took out a word, it says but A1, it should have said but 1 was recommended.
Yeah,
And that's all I did on that, other than that, so.
Other than that, I think it's from my experience, that's a well-written policy. It just puts you in good stead, gives you plenty of latitude to
So, I know we've talked about this before, but this way, this is more of a true performance evaluation, an increase based on performance as opposed to the way at the state. If you don't get a bad review, you get your increase regardless. There is no difference either. It's either you're acceptable and you get your raise. There is no ability for a supervisor to better award someone that's doing a better job. But that's what this does allow us to do, right? Because it gives it to them on April 1st versus June 1st, and they get their raise 3 months earlier.
So if you
Is that
were
what you're saying?
a very high performer, overall performer, your step increase would be as of April 1st, which is the higher performer.
Right.
So you're getting April, May, June, April, May, you're getting a couple months extra
Right, that's the.
on your increase.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you are not a performer, if you are needing some work, you do not get your increase. At the same time that the average performers get their increase in June. So high performers get them effective April 1st, average performers, and for lack of a better word, everybody is a great employee in the town who's listening. So average performers get them as of June 1st, and then anybody who needs to meet a personal improvement plan may not get an increase if they don't improve, but they can do have the ability to improve to get that increase.
They cannot get it
Until,
It's not automatic.
June 1st.
they cannot get it before
I think
June
it's good.
1st.
I think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It puts a little more work on your department heads.
It does, but
And
I.
and as someone who's been there, but now this year's into it, it's not as big a deal as it used to be, but when you first get into it, that's a tough call. It's usually these people you work with every day, and they're in, and so you have to say, got it, but you've taken the job and try to be as honest as you can. And I believe most employees are gonna do fine, because we're talking about a rarity that, performance improvement plans is not the norm in most communities.
Yes. Oh, okay.
It does happen occasionally, but as a workforce, I don't think we have currently that I'm aware of a performance plan in place right now. We might, there's some we've talked about, but it's not in place. You know, see what I'm saying? It's, so they're hovering, but
Okay.
So, yeah. So I don't think it's something that's gonna be widespread through your organization, but it's there if you need it, yeah.
I like it.
All right.
One small typo for you.
I did catch one, on,
Last page, next to the last paragraph,
yeah,
last
I
line.
got that one.
Letter 1.
The letter A,
Yeah.
yeah, I got that out.
All right.
I was just trying to, just made me think of something.
Sometimes things like that pop out at you.
Oh, yeah. Other times you read it 5 times and miss it.
Oh, if you wrote it,
And
if you wrote it
pick
yourself,
Yeah.
read over it every time.
So I guess the only thing is there's nothing in letter A awarding annual pay increases that says that if the select board may choose not to. It's in letter B, under part 2, it says if they do not adopt in a CPI adjustment to the scale, then the finance officer will make recommendations the following year.
Yours is A and B? Does yours have A and B?
I think it's 1, 2, and
Part
3.
1, part 2.
Oh yeah, I changed them to A's and B's,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
I cleaned it up. Sorry,
Making sure I'm on the
maintenance
same-
of the salary
Making sure I'm
scale.
on the same page, so to speak.
It is cleaner to have 2B versus 2-2.
Yeah, so I changed them to
2 part
A's
1.
and B's, and then part 1 and part 2, but,
Okay.
so I guess we might wanna add some wording into that under letter A, but under awarding of annual pay increases.
To say what?
It doesn't say anything about the select board it doesn't say the select board may opt out. It just
I know.
implies that you're automatically gonna get them.
I don't think there's any requirement that the board, I think that's given by,
It's a given.
that's a
By
given.
RSA.
That's a given.
Okay.
You people set the rates.
Right.
That's your prerogative all along. This just says if awards are given, this is how it's gonna be doled
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
perfect.
recommendation and they're only eligible, not
Right,
guaranteed.
Okay,
Yeah, because if they're not appropriated by the
that's right.
town,
Yeah,
then
right.
you're not getting any.
So I
Been there
will
too.
add the Northeast region to this one
Yep,
and just have it for you to
Next
sign.
Thursday.
You'll just have stuff to sign
That's fine.
and quick votes,
that's fine.
so, okay.
It's gonna be a long meeting.
Those could go in the
I'm so
consent
sorry.
agenda
I'm
since
hurrying.
we,
What?
those could go in the consent agenda since it's just, we've already discussed.
Oh,
it.
yeah, because that's what I'd like to do is a consent agenda, so I can make everything a consent agenda. Maybe not your encumbrances.
No, but things we've discussed,
Just like
it's just
this.
typos and,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
Before we go into the TA report.
Yeah.
You ready?
Are we all set on wage scale policy and employee evaluation procedure?
Yep.
Great. Don, do you have something?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept Lieutenant Plummer's resignation in lieu of termination
From the fire
from the
department?
fire department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion then.
Second by Anita. Carol?
The discussion, that isn't what he asked for.
Hmm?
What you said, we will accept his,
Resignation in lieu of termination.
We changed it.
but that's
We're
not what he
changing
asked for.
You
We're
may
not
wanna-
accepting his resignation in lieu of termination, we are offering him a resignation in lieu of termination.
yeah, that's true.
Offering.
So,
Or,
you might wanna say that Lieutenant Bloom did submit a letter of resignation after discussion, we're gonna be offering him resignation in lieu of termination.
Oh, okay, I got that.
Something along that lines, then you got it, same endpoint, but
Okay.
I'll rescind the motion that I made.
Rescind your second?
I rescind the second.
Do I need to change the PAF though?
Okay. Then, let's change this a little. I will make a motion to offer Lieutenant Plummer to resign in lieu of termination from the fire department. Is that correct?
that sounds,
Does that sound right?
I'm sorry.
To offer Lieutenant Plummer to resign in lieu of termination? Is that?
What you did, you've considered his letter of resignation. After discussion, then what you are is you're terminating him with resignation in lieu of. He has a right to appeal that, but the resignation in lieu is your decision, not his.
so we're not offering that to him.
It's happened, and he can
Okay, this
appeal it.
whole thing is getting,
He can appeal,
Well-
he can appeal, okay, that's all you're saying, is he can appeal, but he
Then they
resigned.
just vote on it though, so he's
How
trying
to
to figure out
word-
his wording.
How
Yeah,
to word
I
this,
mean, that's- that's not a motion, that's a whole, discussion.
how do we word the motion of the decision that we
It
made?
was written in option 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the first thing that I said was what was written and what we were given as option two.
Is that from?
How
Doug-
about maybe-
Is that from Doug
Wait a
Manfield?
second.
I think.
The option two, was that written
No.
by Doug?
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
it's my PAFs. I did those, but those are what Doug and I verbally talked about.
Okay, so
how-
let's do your original,
Original,
let's do your original, and then we'll have a very brief, quick discussion that goes over those points,
yep,
and then we'll vote on it.
sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Alright. So, back to, I will make a motion to accept the PAF stating resignation in lieu of termination effective 12/10/22 for Lieutenant Phil Plummer from the fire department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Anita. Would you like to speak to your motion at all?
With all the things that we,
No.
We're
Yeah,
good?
I would just leave
we're
it.
good,
Okay,
yeah.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. Town administrator report?
I'll try and make it quick.
I've only been here an hour and.
Stick around, so you can see.
Lucky you. So, Carol's been stealing my thunder.
Oh, I
So Deb did a great job putting these together. We added some things, these are your organization flow charts. She's put a table of contents in. The emergency call list is in the front that, we've changed it a little bit just so you're aware, because I didn't feel that I should call one person and then that person was responsible to call all these department heads. I felt that it should be, when we make a decision to close a building, I should contact all the department heads.
Okay.
And they're responsible for their staff.
Yep.
So that was what was changed, and then we added your flow charts by department. Added your flow charts by department. We added your select board meeting dates. We added a template for non-public meeting minutes, because sometimes, it's nice to be able to look at something to see. And then we added the right to know statute. The acronym list is always going to be a work in progress, but it has been added. It is stapled and there is a lot of information in the acronym list.
My favorite part was the acronym list. I think I'd like to say it right out, but she loves acronyms, so.
Well, no, we did it mainly to start out for the planning and zoning boards because when the members came on, and so we just decided to do it across the board. People don't know what CIP is. They don't know what CBD, whatever. They don't know what CLG is. So that's in there. And then the last thing, because we've been talking a little bit about goal setting, was your last goal setting session.
It's a nice touch on the police department flow chart.
Yeah.
Citizens, board of selectmen,
Yeah.
town administrator. All of it.
Yeah. Like,
That was awesome, it really is pretty well done.
I think one thing that I encouraged, and I'm not sure it's been followed, but as you'll see, the flow of information from staff, everything goes through the admin to you guys. Obviously, that can change, but I think one of the things I saw here is we could lighten your load a little if you just said, have you talked to Christina? If not, as soon as you do, let me know, and if you're not happy, I'd be happy to talk to you. Or we would be happy to talk to you. Is it gonna be followed exclusively? No, but it gives you an out.
Yep.
You know, if it says, have you talked to her yet? You know, I think that's just a good way to go.
And we thought on the land use, the assessing land use, when we added the boards, so you know what they're covering.
Yep.
But if you think of anything else that well, the only thing we ask is if you decide to leave the board.
The what?
That we return these. That you decide to leave the board.
I'll give it back.
That you leave your book behind.
That you bring your key and your book back.
What if we get voted out?
So, or if you think of anything, no.
Oh, I thought you were handing it to
No,
me.
this is mine. That made me want to.
Nice. Now, should we leave these with our computers or take them with us?
It's up to you, it's up to you, some people, I know Carol would prefer to have his with him, so.
He has a briefcase.
It's gonna be known for something, I guess.
I think,
Well, are you looking at trying to fix something, Carol?
Yeah.
See, look, they come out like this.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Well done.
And if you think of something else you want to know, let me know.
Give me this.
especially for new members of the boards, I think it's nice to give them, at least they've got a thing to
Oh,
flip to,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
what, Anita, or you were struggling, when I got here
I know,
about
there's
flipping,
more
just
than-
what does that mean, and,
Would've been nice to have everything color coded, but.
oh,
Deb, ignore them.
Okay, Danny.
it's a work, that is a work in progress
Well,
over time. We
You
can
would
change.
be thankful that this is your side.
Yeah.
Because when we do planning board and zone, their books are this big. So we've enacted, when I was there, we enacted welcome binders like this for the planning board, zoning board. We just finalized conservation commission's intro, and the materials in it. Historic district, we just finalized and we're working on CID. So any new member that comes in from this point forward will get a binder that tells them roles, responsibilities, and each committee does a little things a little differently, so.
Okay.
Town office generator, that's cut and dried. Wetlands matter, we haven't heard anything on the previous one that we've talked about, but there's a new one that came up out of planning board last night. I believe I put that in your packet under, number 10, wetlands. That's Pemmy Shores, and that's just wanted to draw your attention in case you hear any rumors. It's quite an extensive matter. I know Carol wanted to talk about it at the select board level. Do you remember?
No. Wait.
I think it was it's number 10 at the bottom. I think it had to do with thinking about looking into contractor Contractor
That's why I didn't
issues.
remember.
and how best to handle those in the future.
So, yeah.
Part of the conversation was
Go
that,
ahead, I'll take it.
okay,
So apparently in this one, if you've read through it, this wouldn't have been discovered had not someone along the river seen it on the PRLAC and reported it. It appears to be another circumstance of a local contractor going ahead and doing work
That was unpermitted.
that was unpermitted, and it appears that it may be the same local contractor that we've had a few issues with. And
Well,
so two things we talked
if
about.
you read
Number
to
one,
the bottom, that local contractor is on the CC.
there's no need to read it.
Right.
So we had the conversation about, do we do something specifically, number one, about
Yep, sorry.
that's all right, wait, do we do something specific about this contractor? And then we had the conversation again about an outreach program, a short presentation, a couple of hours, try to get contractors in here, or send out some kind of global reminder that you shouldn't be doing these things. Not that, I can't believe that any of them really can't be aware in this day and age, but.
Oh, I'm sure they're aware.
So I don't,
This is kind of
seems
been on
like
my,
we can't be ignoring this.
No.
this has kind of been on my list to, when I was in a land use department, to look into options if you could potentially find. I'm not sure that there is that option, but I do think it's becoming more prevalent that we should really look into it, so.
Well, at the end of the day, which is a saying I hate, but I just said it anyways.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's up to a contractor to know what they can and cannot do. And I'm all for education, and I'm not trying to say that wouldn't work, but any contractor who has
But you have to get.
lots of experience especially, would know that site can't be done without proper permits. And it's not a town issue, this is not the town
Yeah.
Well,
saying,
no, yes and no.
well, yes, but this enforcement action is
It's not from the
DES.
It's the state.
Our
Yeah.
enforcement action will come later,
Yeah.
when we get more information about
Right.
what's actually done on the site.
Yeah.
There will be an enforcement action from the town,
Right.
but not, but we don't have enough information to be able to do that yet, so.
That's true, Sean.
Bad
That's-
places,
you're
you
absolutely
can't
right.
I mean, I don't know where I'm going with that other than the fact that there's,
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make
Yeah.
them drink. So you can do these trainings, but if your contractors don't come to these trainings, if you're still in the same boat, what do you do?
Yeah, the ones that are.
the ones who would be
following
inclined to
the rules
come,
not coming.
yeah.
And they certainly don't.
And they all have the, you know, you look at, well, you look at a lot of the other outfitters and they, contractors, and they have permit specialists and project managers and, you know, all this stuff, to make sure those bases are covered for this very reason. Yeah. But there's definitely, I don't know what we can do. I don't know what we can do as a town board against a particular contractor. I don't know what authority we have, if any, in that way.
Yeah, we know that's
Yeah.
the trouble.
Yeah,
There is no,
you can't tell people who to use.
So DES cannot take any action against the contractor, only the landowners?
Well, the landowner is the ultimate responsibility.
Yeah.
Right.
So even our actions.
Landowner could.
Would have to go back
after the
against the
contractor.
contractor, yeah.
Yeah, so even our enforcement is gonna be against the
Landowner.
landowner, so
Right.
currently,
Yep,
so.
makes sense.
Okay,
yeah.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no recourse to go to the contractor.
I will let you know when I was handling the enforcement issues, I called the contractor.
Yeah.
I called the contractor on this one.
Mhm.
But by the time I knew about it, and by the time I called the contractor, his work was done.
yeah.
So
So,
I called the contractor, I called the surveyor, and I called the property owner.
there's no.
And the surveyor, sorry, the original surveyor on this project that I called actually backed away from this project. And so I didn't talk to this surveyor, sorry, Carol.
One view of it. Okay, there's no way in our ordinances to come back on, other than the owner.
I'll check into it. And, I think the only way I can check into it is actually email Chris. And just ask her, and if there's anything that we can do.
If you do a cease and desist, who is that to?
The owner,
Okay, so see what I know, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the landowner has, if the contractor represented that they could do it without a permit, or represented that they had a permit and they didn't have a permit, then that's a huge issue for them to go back on the contract.
Right, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
We've been very careful about what we say too
Yep.
currently, but I think going forward, we may have to take some steps to say things a little bit harsher for the owners, because, and I'll use this as an example, when we talked to the owner, we said that maybe the rules had changed and the person didn't understand that. But I think that at some point, we also have to take a harsher stance as well, so.
all right.
Thanks.
Affinity LED, that pretty much explains itself. I'm trying to find out some more information about that, the lease agreement and how many payments that we're gonna have to pay that, unfortunately is not in the budget. But I do have a proposal and I'll bring it Thursday as one of the encumbrances, so. And then Mark was gonna talk to the person who was concerned about the lighting. We asked them to change it, I'm not sure if they did, because I haven't gone out that way.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be changed as of 10 o'clock at night, so. Electricity rates were locked in finally, at the rate we originally were supposed to get for 2 years.
Very good.
New Hampshire.gov is still ongoing. We did hold the Hub 66 site visit. I've asked Ben to give me a list of things, and I've reached back out to the electrician because they haven't provided anything.
Okay.
And we'll have more information. And then the stuff in the italics is still in progress.
Okay.
That was interesting, excuse me.
That's right, go ahead.
You
Oh, you were there, that's right.
Maybe we've talked about this and you all know this already, but the reason they have so few connections is that people that want to get out of their current contract to connect Hub 66
So,
have to pay a contract payout of a lot of money.
I don't
This is
know
why
if it's
they have
resident. Yeah,
Apparently, she said something like $1,200 for an industry or something.
I have a
I didn't even know we
complaint
had a contract, personal
I
contract.
think it's commercial, but we haven't been able to clarify that yet. I pulled the I pulled the MetroCast contract, because we don't have one with Breeze Line's name
Right.
on it. And I haven't looked through it yet, but the technology committee is also looking through it.
I was gonna say, if that's not on there, then we need to have our attorney
Yeah.
talk to them.
So
That's why she
I've
said
also
we have so
gotten-
few connections.
so this was a commercial property that chose to leave Breeze Line to go to Hub 66, and they billed her $1,100 because she had a contract through March of 2023. So I checked our bills just to double check, and I can't find anything that talks about a contract, because right now, we're paying 3 bills, and I'm trying to clarify why.
Was the commercial contract that you talked to in the square?
No, up, Angela Delphonse's building.
Mm-hmm.
Up there.
Hmm.
And she said the only reason she paid it because she was afraid it would hurt her credit,
Yeah.
so.
And apparently, commercially, these companies, all these companies are allowed to write that in. And if you wanna get out quick as a commercial entity, you have to pay the fee, whatever's left. And, that's apparently standard of the industry.
For crappy.
Because they're allowed to by federal,
Yeah.
because they're allowed to by federal laws.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's a residential fee or not,
Yeah.
that I haven't been able to clarify.
And she also says something about there's a lot of overbuilding going on. So they've put
Yeah,
infrastructure on poles and
Right.
that with other money, there's others coming behind them putting
New Hampshire
infrastructure on
Electric Co-op.
poles.
Yes, I
it's
heard
going
that.
to be overbuilding, yeah.
Seems crazy, but
And again, that's allowed.
yeah.
So your Eversource and your New Hampshire Electric Co-op and stuff own, and one other, but they own the poles and
Right.
put all the customers they want on it.
Right, I mean, it all fits,
As long as they're getting their fees.
No, that's all.
Okay.
They're gonna address, some of the fire chief's concerns. They're not going to do as much as we thought still upstairs by the sounds, but we're still trying to fine tune that. They did clean up their mess.
Yeah.
I didn't yet, I will
Good.
tonight, I'll take it when I go leave. Carol wrote up something for me. But, they did clean up their mess. We actually worked with them to get them a transfer station sticker.
Yeah,
because
okay, good.
they couldn't take anything to the transfer station, they were taking it home.
Yeah.
And that's why the pile stayed out there. But Ben talked to them and told them what he needed, and
At this point, I just wanted that area to be safe
Yeah.
and not full of garbage.
well, and I'm waiting,
Yeah.
for the electrician to tell me again, what needs to be addressed. We also need to address, we can't go in there at night unless you have a flashlight with you, because you have to walk to the other side. Although we pulled the strings down, but you still have to walk halfway in to be able to pull the light on. So we at least did that, but at night, we wouldn't be going in
It's
there.
the hallway.
I don't know how the report's gonna come through or how the bid, but the licensed electrician she had said, well, they've used the right
Right.
gauge wire, but that's it.
But at least they're not energized, is what you said, so.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a lot of electricians' time, labor,
Yeah.
running wire, so that's,
yep.
Yeah.
So that's them. The community garden group, I've talked to them. Mark was comfortable with the person who's building their shed. We were concerned that it would be not a good shed. He was comfortable with it, and Mark and I are looking at their list, and we're helping them.
Okay,
We're gonna order the supplies for them, and Mark agreed to store them.
okay.
It did make no sense to try and store them someone's home somewhere and then have them delivered here for them to be built, so.
Right.
And we're gonna just spend that because that's what we agreed.
Okay.
Personnel policy, we're establishing a committee, a subcommittee of department heads, and I'm one person to act on behalf of a department head. There are some changes that need to be made, but we were rushing them, so we decided to fix those changes and present them over to the department heads, present them to the select board over the next year, and make them effective 2024. I do want to say kudos. Kudos to the highway department. They took the old drum and turned it into a sand drum for the spring, Planky Spring.
Nice.
Oh,
Carol
okay.
stopped and moved it today because he was concerned about it being plowed.
I haven't, actually, it's on my on the way home list.
But so the Conservation Commission members will fill the sand with themselves with sand, and they will be the responsible for sanding. We just took an old drum
Yep.
and put the slats and put it up there. Also say kudos to the highway department. They built some shelving, for the storage room downstairs, and it fits on top of the cabinets for maps.
Nice.
We weren't gonna be able to get the map room upstairs for a while. And the more we thought about it, it's, for them to have to go upstairs to try and track down a map made no sense.
Yeah.
So, they've done a good job. We've got the first set in there, and we have one more set to be built.
I'd add to that list of kudos, they also put gravel in the holes at the spring.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, even though it's DOT's job, but, well, it's our site, so they just took care of it. We didn't even have to rake it out, they did the whole thing for us.
Water sewer department, that's an easy read for you, I'll skip that one. Town signage, I'm working, with 3 companies. The company that did our signs is gone a different route, they no longer do the signs. So I reached out to 3 sign companies who all said that they would quote. One never quoted, the second one took their name out, but said, so there's a problem with one of the signs that was installed. It's starting to come apart and peel. For the one by the lake, I'll forward you the pictures. So I asked them what it would be to repair, and while I was asking them that, it's the only sign that you can see the whole back of with nothing. So I asked them, what would it be to put "thank you for visiting" on the back? And so the second company said they don't recommend trying to repair it, you should just replace the whole sign because it wasn't done right. The third company that did respond, I'm trying to decipher their quotes. So, and so that will be an encumbrance picture.
So it's a work in progress.
All right,
So,
I'll stop and take a look at the sign up I would like.
Yeah.
the pictures are.
Speaking of that, I was looking at how it was constructed, are we still the home of senior admission? They kind of moved it away from us,
They
right?
do.
They do
So
part of
the
it
main-
here, yeah.
they do the rock challenge,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was.
I know,
Well, and they
that's
do the
not
actual
set in
swimming.
they
stone.
help
that
pay for
they-
that sign, so.
And the other,
Okay, well, that's.
That's not set in stone, it was, because I don't think that's big
Okay,
enough, but.
So the other big thing that she's wrestling with is, does the deer stay or does the deer go?
Oh, well, and the 2 other signs that need to be finished, the company that did this work originally said it was supposed to be a bear and a moose on them. Do we bother putting any kind of animal on the new signs? And so that's what I'm working on. The budget committee did cut the budget, or did propose to cut the budget, and they cut it to 2,000 next year, so I'm gonna try to encumber what I can. SAU billing,
yep,
we've left a message for, the superintendent today, so we can talk to him about it. As you see, Bob's is showing that we are supposed to be about $53,000 lower, on our bill, that we're being billed for, and that is from December to June. That's a lot of money, so we're trying to get clarification why it's different. Eversource, you do have to act on this if you could tonight. And I talked to Sean today, the appeals that for the Eversource suits were accidentally put into the attorney's settlement list when they settled for the hydro, which is different. So they are asking if the town will assent to a motion to extend the service deadline to January 6th and to grant Sean Tangy to be able to accept the service. I said, what happens if we don't want to do this? And Sean says the court's gonna give them they're gonna grant them the motion to extend, so regardless of what we decide. So my recommendation is just to go ahead, if you're okay with this, and allow assent to it. So I can get that back to Sean Tangy.
I know I haven't been served in a while.
Well, and if you allow Sean Tangy to be served, then, so if you don't assent to agree to this, then
Yeah.
they get the court to motion it and allow it, and then it serves the board. So
Right.
it just delays your service.
Yeah.
But if you
No, I'm
agree
saying I
to
haven't been served in a while,
Yeah,
so he
so
wants to
you
get served.
wanted to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Okay, so,
if you could just say where it says,
I make a motion, that the town of Bristol will assent to a motion to extend the service deadline to January 6th for the Ayers Island appeal,
Eversource.
for the Eversource settlement, and to grant Sean Tangway the ability to accept service.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, thank you.
The delinquent property, just as an update, I don't know if you have any questions about those, we haven't gotten anything yet. But they were asked to provide the proof.
They were what?
They were asked to provide the proof,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
and then I also asked her to start sending notices to the other.
So there was an email that said that they had made some payment.
They did make the payment.
The one payment.
The one payment, and they said they were denied.
The help from,
Right, I get that.
Yeah. So, I don't know if they've paid again, I can clarify.
Okay.
If they've been, but it was only the one payment
Right.
before we talked to you again. So.
Right.
But last time we talked, we wanted them to provide the proof.
Yep.
right.
Okay. That's just updating you, we're working on that. The next one we do have to act on, it's not highlighted for some reason. The meeting manager contract expires at the end of this month.
Yep.
It was something I couldn't get onto the agenda. There isn't a proposed increase in those paragraphs, I'll let you read through that, and, the reason why is we are putting a lot more, we are putting more on to Cade. And in an attempt to not have to keep contracting with an outside company to keep the business development site updated. To also get the videos and the coordination done of those, and also the third thing we've added to Cade, is graciously accepted, is we found out that the current IT provider, and I've checked their contracts, if we have a problem with the website, they won't be the go-between, and for me to pick somebody else here at the building to contact when there's a problem with the website, Civic Plus every time, it doesn't work. Kate's worked well with them. I don't wanna be that go-between either, and I have been in the past. So, Nesset will not do that. They pushed, every time there's been a problem, they pushed it back and said, we don't support your website. Like what? And my conversation with them was, I have never called the website people ever. I've always talked to IT. Well, it's not in the contract. I did check it.
Okay.
So Kate has graciously agreed to be the in-between person if there's any issues.
Okay,
So it does, obviously there is an increase there, and you'll see my
So-
recommendations if you agree. Where did I just put it? If you agree, I drew up I just took I took the one that you signed last year, which expires as of December 31st. I did not up his address is wrong in here,
That's
but I added, actually I added a line, but I didn't change anything about the websites, because it already said, and any pertinent information to the websites. So I think I felt it covered that, but I did say coordinate videos in support of the town of Bristol. It's business, community, and residents, so I added both. So if you agree, that's the updated contract. Otherwise, I didn't change it from last. Oh, and I added the amount, sorry.
Do we agree? Shall I start signing this?
You can make a motion.
Make a motion to accept it.
I make a motion to accept a new agreement for professional media manager services.
With the amount.
Yeah,
So it would be with,
okay, with Kate Overton, for a total sum of $57,616, which will be paid in 26 equal installments of $2,616.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
oh, there's my.
I don't think we need the animals.
I'm surprised it's still
For
there.
Bristol, we need the squirrel and the crow is what we need.
Yeah.
I think I've seen more squirrels than moose.
Chipmunks.
And I'm not sure how serious the deer thing, did we talk about the sign?
Yeah.
But I've heard that more than once, is people hate the deer. I just said it, but there is.
There's an individual who's threatened to put a Rudolph nose on it.
Well, that wouldn't be bad this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, I mean, but
Maybe we could dress it up according to the.
That would be really
I thought,
if you're rehabbing the sign,
Yeah.
Well, that
that is
one-
an added expense, I don't know.
Well, that one we weren't rehabbing, it's the lake one
With the
that's the
fish.
problem.
Yeah.
But then the other two have to be done and whether we bother to
Yeah.
put an animal on.
All right.
One more thing on the list, and then I have two that weren't for you really quick. Flood insurance rate map, I explained it a little bit to the planning board last night, and it was in your last, set, but I also wanted to let you know that any appeals that do come through, I'm not quite clear on how you are going to provide recommendation, but we believe from all the documents that we've gotten that any appeal submissions, the select board will need to review and make a decision on their validity and whether they recommend them to FEMA or not. So the appeal deadline is January 25th. That's when we have to submit to FEMA. We've asked anybody who has an appeal to submit by January 18th to Joanne.
Okay, sorry.
And it's great, and it's on the homepage of the website. If you want to link through, I will forward you an email that tells you there's only 5 maps you have to look at. But if you link through the website, there's 20 or so maps. So I'll send it to you in case you want to take a look.
Great.
We need to make a decision on the appeal request of the Carroll Court Condominium Association from last meeting, December 1st. So we just have,
We started to talk about it, I thought.
Yeah, I think the consensus is that we're
Yeah.
going to support or rule with our
Recommendation of,
is that a motion to
Supervisor.
deny?
motion. I will make a motion to deny the request, the appeal.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Okay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that's 5-0.
Yeah, lucky on your negative motion.
Yeah.
Last
Just
thing.
thought I'd point that out.
We did postpone technically, but we haven't picked the date and just made a decision on when we were going to postpone tomorrow's holiday party because of the weather. We also, so there's 2 things I need the board to help me decide. When would you like to? I am recommending not to do it, and try to cram it in the next 2 weeks.
I do it in January.
It would be better in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah.
And then the second part is we've been advertising all week that the office is closed 12 to 4 tomorrow. And so
Because of the,
because of the holiday party.
Yeah,
We can, and what I've done is approached someone, I'll be here, whether has made it so that some other people won't be here, but I'll be here. I've talked to land use department, at least there would be one person there and, one person in the town clerk. The question, they still are concerned, one person is still curious if they could close it or not, and that's why I'm reaching back out. My thoughts are no, we should just stay open, but
Yeah.
Right, because
Yeah.
we're gonna be closing early the other day.
yeah.
But we'd be open for till noon, just, right? Or
Well,
for the day?
open for the day.
Okay.
Unless you.
Unless you wanna close it, no, I
closing
mean,
at noon.
the question is, stick
That's the
with the
question.
original advertisement, or now that it's canceled, keep it open in the afternoon?
Weather might be nice to let them know.
And we did let them know that we were not clear on whether non-emergency closures would still continue, but they should, and we would let them know as soon as possible, but we couldn't let them know.
Right.
But we were, and I already talked to other people here to let them know I wasn't sure that we would be closing, and if we weren't, would somebody be willing to be here, at least one person in each department, so.
Okay,
So we can stay open if that's what,
I think so.
okay.
Yeah.
I have to register my car.
Okay.
Yeah, so come early because I have a feeling the town clerk may close a little early, not
Yeah.
noon, but a little early. So what's passing around to you right now are what we would have been giving out tomorrow. I figured we have you sign them now.
Okay.
These were there, and that way we won't have to do it in January when you're, unless we have some new ones that come up, so. But these are your longevity people. I mean, it was interesting, Harold Bomer's been with the town for 20 years.
Yeah.
Crazy, that sounds impossible.
Good grief, Kathleen Haskell, 30 years.
Yeah,
30 years, 30, yeah.
It speaks well, speaks well to have employees pay like
I can't believe I'm here in February, it'll be 20 years for being here.
I was gonna say 2008.
It's a record for me. 6 years.
Yeah, I'll be
6 years with the company was the previous record, so.
Next year it'll be 15 for me.
Wow, I thought it was even longer than
Cause
that.
they only feels like 20.
Does that make it feel like that for you?
Yeah, no, seriously, it seems like you've always been here as long as I have.
no.
You know, it'll be 19
I don't
years.
know if that's a good thing. Tom
Yeah.
gives me all kinds of trouble in meetings. And that's it for me.
Okay.
Anything I missed, I will prepare for your next meeting.
Don, do you have any select board items?
I'm all set, thank you.
Anita?
I'm all set.
Les?
I'm all set.
Carol?
Okay, budget committee.
Oh, that's right.
The budget committee, one of the ideas they came up with was at any time there's a the addition of a full-time staff person is suggested, is that should go to a warrant article. That was based on Mary's request for an additional person, although she's not supposed to be full-time.
No, the first motion on West Raymond's position, the part-time position, was to pull it out of the budget and ask the select board to put it as a warrant article. They did not all agree to that, but they did agree to ask the board to consider any future full-time positions to go on a warrant.
We will take that under advisement.
The other item of great concern was the mowing of Kelly Park. Have you heard about this?
I texted once that night.
I wasn't sure what that was about.
The line item, they were asking if the line item included,
They tried to cut, they did motion to cut out the seasonal position, and people were concerned, because they didn't think it included the mowing, and they didn't think where you couldn't fill it last year, but you needed it and it could stay with the highway department. It's the seasonal employee under Kelly Park. 4522, Carol.
Right, but then they didn't change the bottom line, but they wanted to talk to Les before they made a decision.
No, they changed their mind again by the end of that conversation.
So the number, I have okay that the number stayed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So there was lots of conversation about, is this season before you got to mow, or is the road department still gonna mow the fields?
It'll be a marked decision because.
I did tell them that, yeah. I told them it would be a marked decision. I guess the only other thing that they would need to take into consideration is if this is a teenager, they're not gonna be allowed to mow.
And that's why I don't think we can really answer that until we hire someone.
It was kind of a hot topic, and then the library and the hotspots were a hot topic.
They did cut the money out of the budget, out of that budget line for the hotspots.
Is that all they cut?
Out of the library, yes, just that amount.
I told them that we had said it was okay to stay in, that they would try to track the usage of those for the next year. And the head of the trustees kindly reminded Charlie, it doesn't matter what you tell us to do with the line item.
Right.
That it's the bottom, the bottom, that we'll do as we please with the money.
Yeah.
And I kind of came back on them and said that that's all well and good, but if a number of people are saying that they think that X is a problem, you should be thinking about that.
Yeah,
So,
that's a valid
The-
comment.
yeah,
Just, the other comment that came out with about that employee change is that the perception is that because we moved to this building, we're increasing staff. And I said, I said, I understand that perception, but I said, we needed the staff in the other building, we just had no place to put them. So, and then I also mentioned that, the detriment, unfortunately for Rima and I, because we're talking about the part-time position, is we put in those hours and get the work done, that, some weeks I've worked 100 hours, or Rima's worked.
Yeah.
And that was a detriment, we shouldn't be doing that,
Right.
is what you're saying, because we can't justify, but Carol mentioned that he thought everybody should put their time on their timesheets, and I said, well, Raymond and I already do that. Or I don't know if Raymond does, Raymond keeps track, I put my time on the timesheet, so people know.
somewhere down the road, if someone says, why do you need extra people? You're getting the job done with what you've got, and you can say, but no, we have a bunch of people.
We have a variance of plus 500 hours for the
Right.
year to date.
Right, and
I saw one of her
we're wearing
things.
people out.
One of her timesheets for a week was 100 hours.
Yeah.
She put down everything she did, got paid for 40.
Well, 80.
80, 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
a little less. But it was one week though, it was like 80 or 90 hours. I mean, it was a long time.
It'll get
She
better.
worked all weekend, so that's the stuff
It's
that,
going to get better.
it's gonna get better, but the thing is, I think you guys recognize it, that's the stuff that somehow the public doesn't see. So
Right.
I understand why they think,
Right.
it's getting done, why do we need more people? So I only suggest that at some point, she produce a document that shows a period of time, year, 2 years, whatever, that again takes time to go back through so that the board has an idea, okay, this is what everybody's putting in, and this is what they're getting paid for, and especially in the salary. It's easy to beat up on a salary person, it's easy to do, and then you have people who just don't know how not to get up at midnight and send me emails.
Well,
It was really important because the budget committee person that said this said, I don't think we should be adding any person because the perception is that you have a big building and now you're gonna fill it with people.
Sure.
And I've heard a couple people say something similar to me.
Yeah.
And I specifically very adamantly fought against that for the camera, just to make sure it was on the record that what I've seen since I've been here is everybody in this building is doing more than they can.
Right.
And that truthfully, we probably need some extra people for what's being done here. And I wanted to make sure that was kind of on the record a little bit, so.
I haven't seen an abuse, and you've heard me say it. I've advocated just a few weeks in here, I'm like, you don't have enough people. It's getting done, but it's like, you know, does it need to be full-time people? That's, I don't know, but it needs to have hours.
Right, should be, but.
It probably should be, but even if, then give us 2 part-timers so we don't take retirement and.
But we had this conversation with Raymond too about when she said that she had been doing a lot of things but not documenting them. We said,
Yeah.
that's not right.
Yeah,
Because if you don't document it,
We had nothing to go
when
to.
Christina burns out
Yeah.
and has to leave and
That's
people are
right.
like, oh, well, just hire someone else. No, no one else is gonna work that many hours,
We replaced assessing and land use, but we had to take a lot of stuff out of there.
right?
So, and we're not sure still where that stuff's going. It's not dropped right now, but we had to take it out because there was no way we were going to get that new assessing and land use manager to do all that.
So other than that, there were a few changes that I voted to approve and that seemed to make sense and that Christina recommended, so.
So we did let them cut the, EDC project contract line. We didn't have a plan for
Right,
what to do with
that's
it, so
fine.
they cut it to
Yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
And they left it there because I wasn't sure what we would finish in projects and what for the year. And then they cut this town signage down to 2,000. And then they did not vote on the general government budget. They would like the board to consider breaking out, the computer line.
Yeah.
I don't agree with how they were recommending to break it out, if we were going to do that. I'd like, my thoughts are, if we are going to break out that 250,000, that we break it out to software costs and IT costs separately, but I don't know, I think it's down to the wire at this point that we shouldn't do this. I can give them a better breakdown before next week's meeting on what's in that line for costs, to make them feel a little bit, that's a $100,000 increase, so.
Yeah.
They
Somebody
did,
probably has to be ready to speak to that at town meeting, that line.
yeah, and the
Someone
security system, they questioned, I told them I couldn't answer. So, we did find out, just so that you know, that some of the boxes in this room upstairs, we've gotten some answers. Some things have been paid for and are sitting upstairs and not done yet because there are pieces missing. And I'm trying to clarify what's missing so we can get those done. The cameras systems are apparently on back order and have been. The notes that were left said they'd be in August and we don't have them, but we do have the server and the work's been paid for already. So I talked to EX2 about that as well, so.
So it wasn't a lot of changes, really.
And when I suggested to, public, but I suggested Christina to relay to you folks is, you know, and I'm sure you recognize it too, is there's a fine line between budget and management.
Yeah,
And
oh, well,
sometimes
it's a
budget-
conversation we've had a long time.
Okay, so you know what, and some of those issues that you just talked about, in Butch's opinion, this is what we need to manage our IT department, IT duties, and how we dole that out is, give us a number and we'll work with it, but, so, I don't know, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as asking the select board to change lines, it's the budget committee's budget, they can put lines in
Any way they
wherever they
work,
want.
yeah.
It's not our budget, it's
No.
their
They
budget.
want us to break the costs out though, in the budget.
I think that might be okay. They wanted to know what the breakout was.
Right,
To show
but
people.
I would have to calculate that breakout and
Shouldn't Bob be able to do that?
well, I don't think Bob knows everything that's in that line, to be honest with you. And, cause I'm getting better, I have an Excel sheet that Bob started and it's added like 10 things to it. And so I'm starting to figure out exactly what should be in that line.
The big money
but I'm not
items in
totally
that line
confident, so.
are the work that needs to be done to meet your security concerns that were mentioned in that Adam, initially in that Adam report, which is the master report, and then a secondary, and those are serious things, but those are big dollar fix items. So you're right, so some of that IT costs, and to get into the weeds. You don't wanna get into the weeds. The less people, the less public disclosure of that Adam report.
Right.
You see where I'm going with
Yep.
this?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
because
you don't
there
wanna-
are vulnerabilities there that.
you don't wanna tilt your hand.
Exactly, so it's a balancing act, and I know and absolutely, I understand where the country is coming from, but I don't know how you politically relay that, that they understand that there's a trust factor here. The board wouldn't be okaying this if it, I think, that's, again, which is thoughts, and I just, but it's a big nut, there's no doubt about it, a couple, $250,000.
Yeah.
Yep, so, yeah.
And we did give them a couple of things, obviously, and HDC, that was, and the signs seem to be bothering people, so we're buying one sign to get the old town hall taken care of, and we let them cut that down too, so we cut the library out. In the future, if we decide to put a sign on, the HDC decides to put a sign on the library, we can worry about it then, so.
Trustees could do that too.
Mhm.
Could have done that at any point.
Something's wrong with it. numbers. Yes, so that's it. Anything else on the budget that you want to talk about, Carol?
Okay, I have a couple items. What's the status of the town car? Where is it? What
It's here.
It's here.
It was here.
It's on the road, it's inspected, and people
Uh,
can use it.
yeah, people can use it only as enforcement.
Only in enforcement.
Yeah. And our enforcement officer starts January 4th.
Great news. Yep.
So the car wasn't here because it was being used by the police department
Mm-hmm.
for their operations.
Sure.
But it's back.
Okay.
I asked them to bring it back.
And it's inspected and,
Let me just check the calendar. I put it in the calendar deadline.
okay.
It is inspected, it is registered, and I have it in the calendar for when it expires.
Okay.
I just need to make sure.
I thought
whether it takes over-
I was I was under the impression that it had a bunch of repairs needed and we were,
We did them.
okay.
We did the repairs before to it. I can guarantee you there's not gonna be more.
No, I know, because they're pieces of crap.
Yeah.
Okay,
But one thing I do need to make sure that when a new police chief starts, that's a ghost plate, and that takes a process, and they have to make sure they do it ahead of time, so I can,
okay.
but that's what's delayed it in the past.
Okay.
So,
Do I understand correctly that we basically can't sell that car?
no, it would go, I don't know
So we
exactly
can either
how we-
scrap it or,
It was purchased with drug forfeiture
Yeah.
money, so I'm not sure if I don't believe we can sell it. But that would be something we could
Okay.
have,
We can't sell it, but there's a process
yeah.
where it's disposed of through the federal enforcement
Right.
program.
okay.
You can't make money off it, basically.
If I can read my writing. Want to invite everybody to the Luminary Walk at the Slim Baker Foundation tomorrow night and Saturday night from 6 to 9. If you've never done it, it's incredible. They do a luminary light up all the way to the top of Inspiration
Oh, I
Point.
want to do that.
It's really nice, and it'll be nice and snowy.
What time is
Yeah,
it again?
I believe from 6 to 9.
So both Friday and Saturday?
Yep.
Okay. You just remind me I have to invite you somewhere. Sign my email.
But I can't see him doing it on Friday night.
I wish I could read that.
You never
It's
know.
awful.
I'm sure he was pissed. He just said that he
Office,
was
something.
our party.
Did we reschedule the office party, or did we drop that?
Yeah,
Oh, we did drop that conversation.
Well, we just said we were gonna reschedule it.
We can talk about it in January
Yeah.
instead, okay.
If you need to work.
And I guess since I can't read that, I want to, my understanding, congratulate Les for 25 years as director. And I heard that the other day, and I thought everybody should know that, so. That's all I have.
The town's attorney showed up an hour early for the meeting last night, and
Yeah.
I'm headed out the door, and I said, do you wanna go to a surprise party? She said, I'm not gonna charge you for it. She went
Oh, that's funny.
Chris is great.
Office.
She's really good.
All right. Are we all cleaned up with the right-of-way issue on this?
You're at the building?
The sign is ordered, it's not installed yet.
Okay.
They've been parking over
Yep.
here though,
Yep.
and I did talk to Russ and told him what we were doing, and told him, if they do park in any other, they will have to move their car for plowing. And they hadn't done it for the smaller storm, so we'll just keep an eye on it after this next storm.
Yeah.
But yes, we should have a sign soon. I do have one more invitation for you.
Yep.
We got an email from Community Christmas Social tomorrow, 4 to 6 at the Newfound Lake Inn.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I saw that
So-
on Facebook, yeah.
And so she just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that they were available to come. Appetizers will be provided along with a preview of their new bar.
Nice.
I know, I'm putting that on my
Goes into the
list.
calendar, yeah.
Tomorrow night from 4 to 6 at the Newfound Lake Inn.
I heard it
It's
was
a
beautiful.
community
They
Christmas
just redone
social.
the ground.
Yeah,
Do you want to
nice.
go there?
Today's no one.
Butch, you'll be with us next week?
I will, we haven't talked exactly, unless she wants me to come in and just sit here to when she, or I can work from home, I'll leave it, I was gonna leave it up to her to determine my
Okay.
schedule until January 1. So that's the way we've been working. I've been a couple of days, and then she,
Yeah.
like yesterday, I said, I can sit here all afternoon and wait for
Well,
Thursday,
if this
something.
is the last meeting we see you at,
Probably, yes.
we
Yeah.
greatly,
Oh, yes.
greatly appreciate your help.
Yeah.
It was much appreciated, and couldn't have had a better person in the role. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Well, thank you, because I have to say that this has been a learning experience for me. But they all are, because everybody's different, but
Yeah.
I am so thankful that this lady decided to step up, because we'd have been on a rocky road trying to get somebody in here to fill in your job, and for me to get up to speed and get you a budget, and so kudos to, but this has been, I think it's been extremely enjoyable, and I'll be around. I mean, I think this is good, and what I will need from the board eventually, through Christina, whatever, is
Performance report?
if you choose, some kind words would not be unwelcome. However, this is an open-ended contract, so
Yep.
don't feel like so if you don't use it, it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
What their policy there is, where I'm assigned for as long as you want, I'll be the one that gets a call if I'm still, alive, or, but at some point, if you want to end it, we can do that too, so.
Yeah.
There's nothing formal, I'll just kind of fade away, unless, she needs a sounding board, and I've told her as have a couple of other, town administrators, and actually one city administrator, who she's very familiar with, has said that she just needs to call, and
Great.
that she'll have the support she needs, and I think the team is gonna rally behind her, and, and there's some significant challenges. A lot of it's just communications weren't as good as they should have been, and, but nevertheless, we're gonna figure it out, and I think it's exciting for Bristol. I think, there's some good stuff going on here. So thank you very much. This has been good.
Your advice has been invaluable. Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You always wonder if you've learned anything in 48 years.
I've definitely
After all this
experienced a
experience.
lot of learning into the last, 2-3 months with him, so I totally.
You have jumped into the deep end of the
Yeah.
And I finally told her, I did that, I consciously did that on purpose, because I knew we were on a crash line, and so she was dealing with 2 jobs, and she's awesome. And you're gonna be fine, and she's gonna be fine, and she just has to remember she doesn't have to get up at midnight.
Right.
Right.
We'll always be there.
Right, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I won't have to send.
Sleep.
I know.
I would love to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Les, second by Anita.
Yes.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.